Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org. From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Gaudette. This is Idaho Matters. Every year, hundreds of young adults age out of the foster care system here in Idaho, many without the support needed to tackle the realities of adulthood. Well, now the state is trying to change that. Earlier this year, the legislature passed a bill raising the maximum age of the extended foster care program from 21 to 23 years old. And while this is a step in the right directions, not all youth are eligible for the program, which is why organizations like Gem Friends are so important. For years now, the nonprofit has been helping to fill the gap within our state's child welfare system, providing assistance to at-risk youth so they can build a better future. Joining us now to talk more about the program are Liberty Thompson, the executive director and founder of Gem Friends, and Alexis Flores, the community engagement coordinator with the nonprofit, as well as LV, a young adult currently in the program. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you, Jenna, for having us.
So I would love to start the conversation with you, Liberty. For those who aren't familiar with Gem Friends, can you tell us just a bit more about your organization?
Yes, Gem Friends was founded in 2008. I founded Gem Friends because my best friend aged out of the foster care system, and just going through that experience of watching her seek out resources and us not having a lot in the Treasure Valley, it inspired me to make a difference in this area for other young adults that are turning 18 and aging out of the foster care system or finding themselves in other at-risk situations like homelessness or failed adoptions. So that's what Gem Friends does. We provide an independent living program for youth 18 to 24 years old that are at risk because they have aged out of foster care, they've been impacted by homelessness, or finding themselves in just a very unstable situation. And our independent living program focuses in on providing safe and stable housing, mentorship, personalized independence planning and goal setting, as well as life skills training. And we work each of our youth towards the Gem Friends 5 stepping stones to independence, which are to, for education, get a high school diploma or GED, transportation, to get a driver's license and vehicle, community, to be established with health care resources, mental health resources, as well as have a mentor in their life, for their employment to maintain employment, as well as getting at least 15 budgeting sessions. And then the housing stepping stone is to be able to get on their own housing lease or agreement. So that is what we provide here at Gem Friends through our independent living program.
So, Alexis, let me bring you into the conversation. You are the community engagement coordinator with Gem Friends.
Yes.
Uh, So you are, on a daily basis out there helping these young adults. What would you say are some of the challenges that these young adults who are aging out of foster care, what are they facing?
That's a good question. I think we kind of find it when we reflect even on our own lives when we were 18 of what were some of the things that I
Mm-hmm.
lacked. And that was knowledge on how to navigate things like making my own doctor's appointments, creating a budget plan, finding community and connection. Thankfully, I had family and friends to lean on. And that's one of the biggest barriers I see with the young adults I come across is just that connection of healthy friendship or just family that provides that sense of security and knowledge. I would say another barrier is just mental health. I mean, you can imagine that they've gone through so many different things at a young age,
Mm-hmm.
that when you're 18 and just expected to face the world, you're not just navigating what you've been through, but you're navigating the kind of life you want to have. But then you're also trying to navigate the different beliefs you have about yourself and life through what you've experienced. And so
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the
You know,
biggest barriers I've seen.
y- it's interesting, Alexis. I mean, I have a 17-year-old and he is, very privileged and has had a lot of guidance from us and is very
Mhm.
ready for adulthood in some ways. so not
Right.
ready in other ways
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
he's only 17. And I mean, right? So this idea that you are technically an adult at 18, I mean, it sounds like that's where a lot of this, you know, unfortunately, these issues happen, right? Is we expect a
Mhm.
child, frankly, to be an adult at 18.
Yes, exactly.
So, LV, can you talk to us about your experience? What brought you to Gem Friends?
Well, I was a homeless youth from a children's shelter, and I was still attending high school when I got into Gem Friends, and that was such a big just weight. It was a iceberg
Mm,
on my shoulders that had many layers and
mm,
depth to it. Um, I was originally put into the shelter through health and welfare. However, my legal guardian was still my parent, but by the time I aged out, I still had no access to any of my documents, so I couldn't get a job. I didn't know anyone, and this shelter was a facility, so I had no access to the internet or the phone, and just glad that the community that I was in introduced me to Gem Friends because I definitely wouldn't have made it as far as I was with them because I was able to graduate high school and now I am currently attending college and I'm interning at a technology development company.
So, LV, what has Gem Friends, I mean, been able to provide for you in the sense of being able to help you age into adulthood, right? And give you this chance to have the opportunities that you now have.
Gem Friends has many tools and resources that provided me to become the person that I am today. And of course, we have the housing, the food, the transportation, the infinite of resources they gave me. But I think the most important and key to their impact on me was their mission and their heart.
Mm,
And just the staff here is amazing, especially for a nonprofit. They all have they're all different. Everyone here is so different, but the one thing that they have in common is that they genuinely want to be there for you
Mm.
and not to make them feel good about themselves, which even though
mm,
if they do, but their main goal is to help you. And I think that's just very important from and just
yeah.
having the support of mentors and like I'm a
Mm,
runaway and the most important lesson I've learned from them is to make sure that you're running towards something and not away from it.
Mm.
mm. Liberty, just listening to LV, I mean, it's obvious what impact Gem Friends has had. And she's only one story, right? So, what kind of need is there in Idaho for services like this?
Yeah, the program that Gem Friends offers is really unique to everything that we provide from safe and stable housing. We have 14 beds that we can have and provide housing in our independent living program to youth here in Idaho. But it really just touches the need. What we see statistically, there's about 75 that youth that are going to age out of care every year in Idaho. And then additionally, like I said, youth that are at risk because of homeless and we personally we see over an inquiry a week to our program. And every year we're only able to take a handful in. So we're just barely making a dent in the need that is out there for youth between 18 and 24 that are at risk.
Mm. Alexis, can you talk to us a bit more about your independent living program? My understanding is that there are 4 phases to this.
Yeah, we have noticed that because we do have multiple homes, we can actually now have this phase system where basically we're able to meet youth where they're at, and the people that they're living with are more of in a similar situation. And so when they first move into our program, we're really focusing on those life skill meetings with their youth advocate as well as life skill classes. And we're basically focused on helping them finish their education if they are still in high school or need their GED, while alongside starting to have employment conversations And then we can start to transition into let's get a driver's license, and then we can walk through saving for a car and what that looks like. Because you don't want it to be a fire hose. You really just need to meet them where they're ready and then walk them through
Mhm.
and journey with them on accomplishing the other tasks, which we're able to do in that phase system and at different homes and teach different skills.
Alexis, what kind of impact do you think the extended support like this, the Gem Friends gives? w- What does this do for these young people? I mean, LV said it, right? She's found
Mhm.
mentors. I mean, it seems like there's finally a safe place to fall.
Mm. Yeah, that's what I'm really passionate about is what I think the biggest impact we have is showcasing to them that their life matters, that they have value, and that they have purpose. And I think that's the biggest gift we could give to them is believing in them, and knowing that they're capable and giving them a life that they deserved from the beginning.
Mm. Liberty, if you have folks who are listening right now and they want to somehow get involved or help with Gem Friends, how would they do that? And what kind of help do you need?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would put out there we have an annual gala coming up on September 26th, and that is a great first step of being involved, coming and attending. It's a night of inspiration, and you get to hear stories and the impact. So that's one way of getting involved, whether it's individually or getting their business involved with that event. We also have a lot of volunteer opportunities. The first step would go on our website on our Getting Involved section, filling out the volunteer application form. And we have some key volunteer areas. Hospitality is one of the easiest and quickest areas to get involved. Hospitality team will provide meals for our life skills classes, as well as care packages, birthday packages, and help us celebrate big events like a graduation we have coming up this month of a young lady graduating our program. So the hospitality team is a great way for just anyone to get involved.
LV, I want to give the last word to you. For folks who are listening to this right now, what do you want them to know and to take away from Gem Friends and the impact that it's had on you and other young adults?
I know that my peers and people like me who've gone through situations like this could feel a little bit esoteric at sometimes and that no one will understand. And that could be true to an extent, but I do believe that every human being is capable of compassion and they all have it in them. And I just want to say to the people that are listening, just it's hard to be kind sometimes and it takes strength to be soft, but always try your best to be the person who you needed when you were a kid.
Mm. Well, I want to thank all of you so much. What a beautiful way to end it. We have been speaking with Liberty Thompson, the executive director and founder of Gem Friends, and Alexis Flores, community engagement coordinator for the organization, as well as LV, a young adult who is currently in the program. I'm Gemma Gaudette, and this is Idaho Matters.